Hi everybody and welcome to this week's mini lecture. Today we're going to be looking at Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. So to get started here, a little true-false action. So UDL is the same as differentiated instruction. 5 seconds, true or false? That would be false. Grandpa Abe said so. So yes, it is not quite the same as differentiated instruction. And now one more true-false question here. Closed captions, automatic doors, and accessibility features on smartphones are all examples of universal design. 5 seconds, true, false. That's true. Thanks, Dwight. That's definitely true. So moving on here, hopefully you like that blast of humor, or maybe some consider humor. Who benefits from this? So now looking at this image, it's clear, right? Down here we have our handicap accessibility for people that are visually impaired, so that way they can tell when they're getting to the edge of the sidewalk. And this sidewalk, notice it is level with the ground. It is not high and raised like on the side here. So people benefit from this. Originally, it was for handicapped people crossing the street. But as time has gone on, we've noticed other people benefit from this. For instance, people with strollers, people on bicycles. So there's also other examples of this. So this is that example kind of UDL, where the purpose is to give certain people accessibility, but in reality, many people benefit from it, kind of the unintended consequences, but in a good way, of proper and good design. And our educational software and our lesson plans and the content and the way we deliver it should really all keep this in mind. So is this fair? I'm sure many of you have seen this cartoon. If everybody has to take the same exam. Well, obviously all these animals have different skill sets and will not be able to perform the same on the same type of test. So for instance, they would not all succeed by climbing the tree. So think about it this way in terms of our differentiation on what we do and how we can continually try to improve what we're doing to reach our students on many different levels in terms of delivery, engagement, and representation. So the 3 learning objectives for this presentation is going to be define what is UDL, identify universal design in the physical world, and then differentiate between the brain networks and UDL. So first, what is UDL? This is a short video. You can find this on Blackboard. I would recommend you please go and watch it. It's a very good video. It's short. I believe it's about 2 to 2.5 minutes, but it's a fantastic video. So what it is, essentially, it's design of instruction for all students' usage. Because remember, we have to promote in our learning community, we have to be strong, flexible, and a good foundation, because our students are coming in with a wide range of diverse abilities. This could be reading, this could be visual, this could be physical. There's all sorts of different abilities that students bring in. Perhaps they have disabilities. Again, this could be visually impaired. Maybe they have a wheelchair. They can't get around very well. So how are we going to accommodate and make them feel welcome, but also give them opportunities to succeed? Different ethnicities. They could be from immigrant backgrounds, maybe not. Maybe they're first generation here in the States, for instance. So all this matters, right? And different ethnicities value different things. Some cultures are high context communication, some are low context. How does that matter? How does that impact the way that you would teach and present your lessons? Language skills, are they ELL learners? Maybe English is a second or third language. Maybe they have strong skills, maybe they don't. Or maybe they're good in terms of their strong suit is speaking, but they can't really write that well. So how does that work out? And then the learning styles of our students. So the potential for UDL on student learning, again, it's just trying to provide those equal opportunities for all students to learn, with the ultimate goal of trying to close that performance gap that unfortunately still is prevalent for students with disabilities. Also, when you have really good UDL principles in your teaching, you're going to find less behavioral issues because your students are more engaged with the material, and so they're not looking for problems, they're not bored, they're not causing as many problems. And also for you as the teacher, when you implement a strong UDL framework into your teaching, it gives you more time to move around the room and pay more attention and just be more engaged with your classes. And this kind of increased opportunity in finding new ways to open access is another potential for UDL. Now we're going to take a look at universal design in the physical world. Now look at wider doors, for instance, at a Home Depot. Okay, yeah, originally they were for people to bring in and out large items, but now you have senior citizens can walk in there. If I'm a customer and I'm returning something, the door opens. If I'm pushing a cart, the door opens. If I'm removing, just like you see here on the left, the lawnmower, the door is going to open for me. So it's not just for big, for instance, pallets or something like that. Lots and lots of different people can benefit from this sideways door. Escalators. People you see here on the left going up on the escalator, maybe people have physical disabilities. They can't go up and down the stairs. This makes a difference, right? We're opening access. So people that maybe have problems with their knees or whatever it is, or they're in wheelchairs, they're not being denied access just because they can't go up a staircase. Pools with ramps, same thing. Senior citizens, you can see here, a woman in a wheelchair, she would never be able to just jump off the side of the pool. That's not going to work, right? We can't lower her into the pool as you would a person just walking in. So we have to find and come up with new creative ways. So this really makes a big difference. And then lastly, think about any museums that you've been to. They provide the content, they deliver the content in a variety of ways. So you can see they have headphones for audio, they have a screen for video with closed captions, and then here on the right-hand side, you can also see they have text that people can read, and the artifacts there to the left. So you can see there's different ways of delivering the content and engaging your students with the content as well. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the 3 brain networks which compose UDL principles. The affective network, the recognition network, and the strategic network. The affective network is that why of learning, so the engagement. Recognition is the means of representation, so how are they going to gather information and process it. Then the last step, the strategic networks, the how of learning. So providing our students an opportunity of means of expressing or demonstrating what they have learned, their ideas, etc. So looking more closely here at Principle 1, multiple means of representation. How are you going to basically deliver the content to your student? Videos, simulations, it could be charts that you use, infographics, podcasts, and they could also be making all of these as well. So it doesn't just have to be what you produce. Maybe, for instance, weekly videos that help cover the topic or review the topic. Course outlines help students break down the information. And then also links to outside resources that students can explore. Read aloud is a great text-to-speech voice reader that you can use. It's free. You can find it in Google. You can download it into Google, Mozilla as well. Vocabulary is a fantastic resource for representation. This is educational hip-hop songs. They're great. Again, these can be student-produced. These can also be teacher-produced. Here's one here. I'm just going to show about 15 seconds just so you get the idea.
My bag weighs a ton. I had to wait in the station for 10 days, an eternity. I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. Yeah. I know you heard of me. The best figure of speech, hands down, hyperbole.
So you get the idea there with that. It's a fantastic resource, another way of engaging and representing the material for your students. The second principle is means of action and expression. So how can students demonstrate their knowledge? Will they be writing a video? Will they be journaling, acting out a skit, or drawing a comic strip, for instance, producing a brochure? What does that look like? Weekly learning objectives to help them stay on task. Maybe you allow them to create their own graphic organizers in their notebooks is another way to do that. And then always make sure that whenever you have an assignment, you have accessible rubrics so that students know what's expected of them and what they're have a kind of a roadmap to where they're going. And then self-monitoring checklists. Try to give them something maybe at the end of the quarter, at the beginning of the quarter, if you can, or before a unit, maybe where the assignments are laid out and students can go in and fill in what they did, if they turned it in, the grade they got, etc. A couple examples related to these principles. Principle 2, Lucid Charts, fantastic for instance, collaboration, making graphic organizers, and Powtoon, which is animated presentations and explainer videos that you can make and the students can make. And here's an example of Powtoon, just about 15 seconds. This is entitled Long Distance Relationship.
You give me the peanut butter to my jelly. You give me the butterflies I feel in my belly. You give me the captain and I.
So that gives you an example of how Powtoon can be utilized. It can mix in music. It can just be a voiceover that you record, but a great other resource for UDL principles. And lastly, here are the multiple means of engagement. We talked a little bit about the progress charts as well. This works in here. Reflections are very good in here. Service learning projects, hands-on type of learning, getting that student really engaged, working on collaboration with their peers, whether this is group work or maybe a project that they are working on. It works very well. Another way you can look at this is changing up the seating style in your room. So for instance, are they in rows? Well, can you maybe put them in circles one day? Can you break the desks off maybe by fours and have group work for that day? Or the group work, or excuse me, the seating chart is in a big U for the day. Or maybe you have couches and beanbag chairs in your room and you have lots of space that students can move around and explore, for instance. So how can you create a different environment, that different engagement, just simply by moving around the way you have your seats? And I already mentioned the hands-on activities. Let them go and explore. And some technologies for this. Flipgrid is a fantastic resource. This is where you as a teacher can enter in and you can get a free account. And you can pose questions, discussion topics, almost like a writing prompt if you want. And the students can actually go and post video responses to you that appear in a really nice, easy to read display. And the students can interact with each other as well. So it's a really pretty cool way of engagement. And you can really just get the conversation started and let your students go. Padlet is the second one. Padlet is an online bulletin board that you can use. It's free. Again, you can share this with your students. This has many ways of being used. I know we use it for department meetings. You can have this as a bell warmer activity, a bell warm-up activity where the students maybe insert an image from something from the day before. It can also be utilized as an exit slip. Timelines, you can make timelines on Padlet as well. So it's a really versatile resource that you can utilize in many ways. And this is a video here about Padlet. I'm not going to show this, but this is available in Blackboard as well, along with this presentation. And then lastly, here's some resources for you. These are really great tools to access for getting started or just kind of getting some ideas or just having lesson plans that are already here that you can utilize and kind of massage and use for your own purposes in your classroom. So this is a really great resource for you to have. And these are all available. Again, the presentation is available on Blackboard. So in conclusion, thank you very much for paying attention and watching this video lecture this week, and hopefully you find ways to incorporate universal design for learning into your teaching practice.